Good morning. Welcome everyone on this Tuesday morning, December 14th. And for many of you, hopefully that are watching, that you still have power, you're watching maybe from a snowy environment. Snow got down pretty low last night. Jim and Kathy, good to see you this morning. Barbara Richardson, welcome everyone. Amador County Schools canceled school today. Enjoying a snow day. Karen Faust, good to see you. I'm sure you got snow last night. It's my mom, good morning. James Northern, welcome this morning. Debbie King, good morning. Yeah, I saw Jonathan had posted on Facebook this morning that he had snow in the middle of the night last night. Sally Crocker, good morning. Karen Lowe, welcome everyone. So hopefully we have some of our upcountry folk who may not have a generator. You still have power. Karen, you must have power, or are you on a generator? Karen Faust. Andrea Hauser and Steve, good morning to you. At least it wasn't as windy last night. Okay, good. You have power. That's good. So James, you're asking if my volume's low. Everything's as it should be on this end, so sometimes these things I don't have any control over on your end. I don't know. It's a mystery to me. Facebook sometimes changes things on me. Yeah, Jonathan, I saw your post with quite a bit of snow in your backyard. That must have been fun to wake up to. Jan Akins, good morning to you. Karen Perry, good to see you on your morning commute, if that's where you are. Welcome. Always good to see your name in the live stream. So this morning we are continuing in this week-long study. I'm hoping it'll last a week. That's my goal anyway. With regard to joy, experiencing joy. And yesterday we talked, we launched on this because with our Advent series, we are celebrating the shepherd's candle, which is the joy candle. The angels came and announced the birth of Jesus to the shepherds, and it was a cause for rejoicing, great joy, and we call that the shepherd's candle or the joy candle in our Advent observance. So I thought this week let's talk about joy all week long. And yesterday we alluded to the fact, or outright said, that joy is not an emotion. Unlike happiness, sadness, fear, anger, disgust, surprise, these are innate emotions that we experience. They're not innate, they're involuntary, that's what I mean to say. They're involuntary responses to real or perceived stimuli. It's our limbic brain responding to our environment. So fear, happiness, all those things are circumstantial. And whereas joy or love, another word I would use to kind of put in the same category as joy to kind of help us understand joy. So love, for instance, it's easy for us to wrap our minds around the idea that I can love someone deeply and simultaneously be experiencing the emotion of sadness, grief, loss. That's something that we, within our realm of experience, we experience somewhat commonly. Or even anger. If I didn't love someone deeply, their actions toward me would exhibit very few emotional responses. People that I have no idea who they are, they don't make me angry. They don't make me sad necessarily, directly. It's the people that I have a greater relationship, that have a greater impact on my emotional state, right? So love, we can experience, we can choose. We often use the word choose. I choose to love someone, whether I feel happy with them in the moment or not. I'm still going to act consistently toward them. I'm going to act in a way that's consistent with my love, my relationship for them. You know, it's how we love our children. Our children can disappoint us, can frustrate us, in our households and so on. But it doesn't really alter our deep love for them. Even if we have to put up boundaries, right, with people in our lives, it's a loving act. So love is very robust. It's not just a reactive emotion, though sometimes we really feel emotions consistent with love. Joy is the same way. So there's a number of reasons that we can experience joy despite our circumstances. And it's my goal this week to kind of introduce us to some of those robust reasons that we can experience joy. So like the shepherds who got announced the fulfillment of centuries of longing and hope for the birth of the Messiah, when that announcement comes, he's born. Of course, it's an experience of joy. So joy can have accompanying emotions of happiness, but it's not necessary. So today I want to, and the rest of the week really, I'm going to reflect on Paul's experience of joy, because he often experienced a very diverse life stimuli, right? So there's times where things are going so well, and he's thinking and writing to churches who are doing great. They're healthy and they're loving the Lord, and they're just doing things that bring about a great sense of pride and happiness for Paul, and so on. But he also has experiences of being beaten in prisons, treated unjustly, humiliated. He has demonic oppression, that a demon is buffeting him with this thorn. He has such a wide range of emotions, or not emotions, but circumstances, but consistently throughout it, he has joy. So we're going to use him as kind of our prototype, because he writes so much about his experience and simultaneously experiencing joy. So what does joy even look like? So we're going to hopefully get a better understanding of joy and more robust understanding through Paul's eyes. So this morning, the very first thing that I would say, if we ask Paul, what's the key? What is the key to having joy in any and all circumstances, whether you are doing great or experiencing trauma and pain and sorrow? What's your secret? Tell us, what's the 3 steps of having joy in all circumstances? I would imagine, based upon his writings, that the number one step one, the start, the beginning, the source of all of his joy is a deep and abiding relationship with Jesus. First and foremost, there is no one more important to Paul than the Lord God Almighty in his Son, manifest in his Son, Jesus Christ, the person of Jesus. Paul's entire life is defined by being directed by, being in communion with, praying to, being strengthened by Christ. So a key to experiencing joy in any and every circumstance begins with a deep, abiding relationship with Jesus. And there's a number of ways we can see this in Paul's writing, but the one statement I think that is so inclusive of this idea is when he writes to the Philippians in chapter 1 and verse 21. Remember, Paul's in prison, and Philippians, he uses the word joy or rejoice as either his experience or calling out this experience with his readers. 14 times in 4 chapters of the book of Philippians. And it causes people who have commented on Philippians to characterize it as the book of joy because of Paul's disposition in this letter. And it's in this letter he makes this statement. He's in prison, and he says, the root of it all, it says, to live is Christ, and to die is gain. I mean, Jesus is so vital, so important to Paul, that it defines his entire life. To live is Christ. Every waking moment, every breath I take, every decision I make, from the morning till the evening, is all filtered through his relationship with Christ. To live is Christ. And even when those things that threaten his health, his well-being, are beset against him, it doesn't diminish his relationship with Jesus. Because he says, give me your worst, give me death. To live is Christ, not only to live is Christ, but to die, well, that would be even better. Why? Because I'll go be with Christ, the person I'm living for every waking moment. And so if we are going to experience joy, which is not an emotion, it's a worldview, it's a choice, it's a disposition toward all of life. If we're trying to figure out what does it feel like to have this joy, we have to start with our relationship with Jesus. It has to be elevated to such a status in our life that we have deep, abiding, unbroken communion with Jesus, that no matter what happens in this life, if I have Jesus, I have everything I need. Paul would later say in Philippians chapter 4, he says, I found the secret of contentment. I could be starving and be content. I could be out in exposure, not having even a place to lie my head, and be content. What's the secret? He says, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. He is my strength. He is going to satisfy me, even though my body hungers, even though my body is experiencing pain, even though I'm experiencing loss. If I've got Jesus, well, then I am content with that. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. To live is Christ, to die is gain. And this is something that this relationship, we grow in our understanding of, and we experientially pursue and nurture and foster every single day. If we neglect this relationship, then we're going to really have a hard time experiencing joy when life deals us, the pits, right? The difficulties, the frustrations, the left turns, the storms, all of these things, the losses. If we don't have a robust relationship with Jesus, we're going to have a really hard time understanding joy. What do you mean joy? How can I experience joy when I'm in the midst of all this negativity and frustration and anxiety and I'm so angry about it and so on? Now we can have joy and be angry. We can have joy and be fearful. We can have joy and experience sadness and happiness and whatever. The joy part is a choice, but it begins with Jesus. If we don't have a solid, abiding communion with Jesus that is nurtured every single day, we will have a very difficult time also experiencing joy when we encounter these various trials and difficulties in life. And so what are we doing today, tomorrow, all during our day to nurture, to foster this deep, abiding communion with Jesus? What does it look like? What does it mean? Who is God, the Son of God, the Christ, to me? The ability we have to answer that question is the measure we can also use to measure what joy we can experience in this life. Experiencing joy must begin with a relationship with the Son of God, the Christ. And so how are you nurturing that relationship today? we don't have time to really unpack that idea. It's so robust. And honestly, it's going to take our entire lives to unpack. That's the beauty of a relationship with God through his son, Jesus Christ. But how are we doing it today? It takes a day-to-day intentional walk. You're here this morning. You're here maybe later in the day watching the same live stream. This is one way, one small part of your day in how you are pursuing your relationship with Jesus. Enjoy it today. Talk about it. Journal about it. Read about it in the Word of God every day. And to the degree we understand and enjoy our relationship with Jesus is the same degree, I believe, that we can experience joy despite our circumstances. So take that today. Lord bless you. Hopefully you're going to drive safe today. I know there's lots of snow in the upcountry. Maybe you'll be able to stay home today, work from home, whatever that looks like. But be safe, and we'll see you again tomorrow morning.